Hello, I'm Noelle Bowden from GurdyWorld.com. This is the third video in our series of videos for beginners on the hurdy-gurdy. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about the following things: cranking the wheel in time with music, reading and playing new notes, which includes learning accidentals, how to move around the keyboard, and how to repeat notes. We're going to start with cranking the wheel in time. In our last video, we talked about the time signature 4/4. To review, in 4/4, there are 4 beats in a measure. On the hurdy-gurdy, we rotate the wheel once per half note, and a half note gets 2 beats, or it lasts for 2 beats. So if our starting position is here, we're going to rotate back to there within the course of 2 beats. And if I take a metronome and put it on, that's a quarter note, so that's 1 beat. So in 4/4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here you can see that the crank is on the far side of the player. It's actually on this side of the tailpiece. That's where I'm starting the position from. So it's really on the gravity down side. So I'm like feeling down. So down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an easy kind of concept to consider when you're trying to count the beats when you're starting out as a beginner. So here I am, and it's going to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, and now I'm just going to make it nice and smooth. You can think about the idea of the full circle of the wheel as being an important concept with hurdy-gurdy, because this will play into what we do with couping later. For right now, all we want you to do is think about having a starting point on the wheel that you always get back to and have it be free-flowing. So don't hit it with the accent so much. Just think about it going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the best way to check yourself with this is to video yourself and see if your position always comes back to the same place. The other concepts that we talked about in the previous video were half notes and quarter notes. So a quarter note gets 1 beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all quarter notes. And half notes last for 2 beats. We're going to introduce the concept of the goose egg, which is the whole note. The whole note is the note that fills the whole measure or bar. So that lasts for 4 beats. So if 1 rotation on the wheel gets 2 beats, 2 rotations would be your whole note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's look at the previous etudes with this in mind. So we gave you 4 etudes in the last lesson. We're going to look at the first one, etude number 1. And this etude went like this. I'm going to put the metronome on to quarter note equals 80. And I'm going to turn my position so that you can see the wheel crank and the concept of quarter note and half note and where it is in time with the wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4. So an easy exercise, if you're having difficulty with that, to get used to this concept, is to simply put your metronome on, video yourself to make sure that you're coming back to that same position, and just count out loud like whole notes or half notes or quarter notes. So for instance, if I take my metronome and I put it on 80, so 80 is the quarter note, and I just say, okay, well, I'm just going to play C for like a half note. So it's just going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm just playing up and down. And there's your half notes without moving position, just up and down, C, D, E, F, and back down again. Okay, woohoo, cool. Now let's learn some new notes because you're probably getting sick of the same 5 notes. I know I am. Okay, so we're going to talk about the first 2 keys. Bing, bang, right there. Those are A and B, obviously, because open is G. Musical alphabet ends at G. Then we go A, B, and we already know C, D, E, and F. So A and B. Here's a little piece you can do with A, B, and C, using the idea of 4/4 and your rotation on the wheel. So here we go. I'm going to do it over here. You'll notice I'm just using 4/3/2 to strengthen these fingers as well and get them used to feeling the A, B, and C down here. Great, so now we know G, A, B, C, D, E, F. What comes after F?
G.
All right, so low G is our open note. The G up here, C, D, E, F, G. So there we go. So now we know open G, A, B, C, D, there's the bunny's head, E, F, this won't sound good, needs to be F sharp, but there you go, and then G. We just played the bottom row of keys. What are these top row of keys going on? These are, for the most part, where your accidentals are. So what are accidentals? Accidentals are flats, sharps, and then double flats, double sharps, and naturals. The only thing we're going to cover so far is going to be flats and sharps, and then we're going to talk about the concept of what a natural does to a note. So accidentals affect the pitch of the note. A flat lowers a pitch by a semitone. So if I have E, E flat lowers that pitch by a semitone. So I have, that's E flat. A sharp raises a pitch by a semitone. So a flat, you can think of a flat tire, it lowers things. A sharp, ow! Someone hits you with something sharp, it makes you go like this, it raises it. So if I have C, C sharp goes up a semitone. It's the theme to Jaws. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Half step, semitone, whole step, whole tone. So those terms mean basically keys next to each other or skipping a key. So for instance, if I start with C and I go up a half step, it's going up from C to C sharp. Those are half steps or semitones. A whole tone, or a whole step, is when you skip a key in the middle. So from C to D, that would be a whole step. Note that on your keyboard that some semitones or half steps are right next to each other, and they don't utilize keys that are on the upper row. So for instance, if you have your new note that we learned, B, and you go up a semitone, it's going to be the note C. So B sharp is C, just like C flat is B. The same thing occurs on E and F. So E sharp is F, F flat is E. One other little fun fact, so music teacher moment. So if you can have like D sharp is also E flat, that's enharmonics. So the term enharmonic means that it's the same note, it's just called a different name. And we do that depending on what key signature or what scale or what key signature we're using. So for instance, if you're playing in C minor, you have 3 flats, B, E, and A. Those wouldn't be A sharp and so on and so forth. It would be B flat, E flat, and A flat. So whether it's a flat or a sharp completely depends on what you're playing in. So accidentals can appear before a note or in the key signature itself. The key signature is the law of the piece, meaning that whatever is in the key signature, that applies to all the notes that are of that ilk, meaning, just as my example with C minor before, in C minor, you've got B flat, E flat, and A flat. That means in your piece, if an E appears, no matter where it is on the staff, that E is going to be flat. If a B appears, no matter where it is on the staff, it's B flat. Likewise with A, if an A appears somewhere on the staff, it's going to be an A flat. When you have accidentals that appear before the note in a piece, it means it affects that note. The rule is that when it appears before the note in the piece, it stays with that note until it hits the bar line, and then that bar line cancels it. The next note that comes across as F in the next measure is just going to be regular old F because the key signature takes precedence. Now, likewise, within a measure, if you have a flat or a sharp that's affecting a note, but you don't want to have it affected again within that measure, the natural sign cancels the flat or sharp, and that is why we have natural signs. Let's talk about key signatures again. Lots of people are always like, oh, what are those flats in that key signature? Oh, what are those sharps in that key signature? You don't need to find it out every single time because there is an order to flats and sharps. So you just have to remember one of the orders, because if you remember one order, the other order is that backwards. I'll explain. The order of sharps in a key signature are fat, cats, go, dancing, at, Emily's, ball. They will always appear in that order. So if there's one sharp in the key signature, it's always F. If there are 2 sharps in the key signature, it's always F sharp and C sharp. If there are 3 sharps in the key signature, it's always F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So now we flip that order around. Fat cats go dancing at Emily's ball, B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So the order of flats is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So in C minor, there are 3 flats in the key signature, therefore they are B, E, and A. So our first etude went C, G, C, D, E, D, C, F, E, D, C, G. If I want to make that into C minor, one of the notes in that 4-bar passage is an E, so that E is going to be flat. We don't have any B's, we don't have any A's in it, so we can just not even worry about that, but we do have an E flat. So to practice playing your upper keys, you can take these same etudes and just put an E flat in them, and that will help you play E flat. Where's E flat? Remember, it's a half step down, so a semitone down from E. So if you're looking at the bunny ears, it's this guy. So this etude is going to go like this now. Creepy. So articulation. Articulation is the concept of something to do with your note. So like it's either legato or staccato or whatever. You're articulating how you're playing that note. You can accent it, do whatever. In Gurdy, if we have a note that's repeated, so like let's say we've got C quarter note and then C quarter note, we can't just go C quarter note, C quarter note, because we've got a wheeled instrument, so it just sounds the same each time. Likewise, I'm not going to just drop the note, because then it just sounds like the alarm. We don't want to do that. So there's two things to learn on how to articulate on the Gurdy keyboard. The first concept is the finger flick. So basically what you're doing is you're just cutting off the note that you're playing by clicking the key above it. So one of the ideas with finger flicking that some students have a challenge with is that they try to press the note above it in, right? But that means you're going to now play that note as well, and that's not the effect. The effect is that you're just cutting the sound off with the tangent above it. So I'm just flicking the key, curl, 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 curl with your finger, to make it so that it detaches from the point of pressure on the string. So you don't want it to sound like this. That's different. That'll be ornaments later. This is just cutting it off. The other form of articulation that you learn early on is substitution. So substitution is when you have a note, so I gotta play 3 C's. So instead of finger flicking, I'm gonna substitute different fingers. So for instance, I could go like this. Hear how it cuts off the note? That's what you use substitution for. Two, three, four. There you go. Finger flick wise, you can do it like this. And now I'm going to make it minor. Evil Clair de Lune. There you go. And that's it. As usual, all of the pieces that we've talked about in this video are going to be listed in the links below. If you like it, great. Like it. Subscribe. And then that way, if you subscribe, you can get notified for the next video. And we hope you enjoy the series. And if you have any particular questions, you can always leave them in the comments so we can figure out what to do next. Thank you.